Hello, everybody. I hope that you've all been having a wonderful week so far. Just before we get into the show, and we have quite a bit to cover, I just wanted to issue a sort of apology that I feel like the content recently I've been mostly just been doing streams. I put out a couple, I think, pretty good videos on The Sopranos and stuff like that. I just haven't been doing too many pre-recorded videos just because I've been having just kind of some health issues. Just I had the flu really bad for a week. Just my bipolar's been pretty bad lately, and I think I'm going through some seasonal affective disorder. So I'm not the sharpest I normally am. And then there's just been a lot of news stuff. And I've kind of sometimes I just feel obligated to cover the news stuff. Like there's been a lot of Trump stuff, there's been a lot of Russo Ukraine stuff, and I've kind of been just going through that more or less lately. So hopefully people are okay with that. I'm probably going to go see a couple movies on the weekend, so there'll be some reviews to that. I've been trying to update the playlists. So I think I have stuff back like 3 or 4 years covered. So there should be 3 or 4 years of reactionary reviews, and I'm dividing it up into like different things like movie, video game, TV, anime reviews. That stuff is getting divided up. So I can't actually. I have this huge list of news stories we're going to cover. There is actually too many of them to fit into the description. So YouTube is tired of winning. There's so much winning it can't fit into the into the description box. So I'm gonna put up just a whole bunch of them. If any of you want to look at the sources for stuff we're going to cover, I put a bunch of it up. I did that instead of doing some of my work today. So basically, Trump's first 2 weeks have just been like win after win after win. I was not expecting half of what he did. Like, I was expecting some kind of lame milquetoast thing, but it seems like Project 2025 was 100% real, and he's more or less doing everything that he said he was going to do, and then some. Like people sometimes will notice I try too hard to be fair and balanced. Like I'll say I'm sure Trump's going to do a lot of bad stuff. I'm sure he's going to disappoint us and stuff like that. And I try to dampen expectations or things like that. But I'm going to be honest, things have been going really, really well. Will they continue to go that way? I don't know. But I think you have to give credit where credit's due, and Trump has done a lot of good shit. He's done arguably more good stuff in the first 2 weeks than he did in his entire first term, and then basically every president has done since Clinton. So we're gonna go through it. Like I said, there's so much winning; it's kind of hard to even get through it all. But we'll get to the executive orders. We're just gonna start off with a couple one-offs. A couple has one-offs. Done. Now, most of this is executive orders. So there's different branches of government. In general, most countries have a legislative branch, a judicial branch, and an executive branch. Some have more than that. So we'll get to that in a some other time. So the legislative branch passes laws and is responsible for raising taxes and stuff like that. They're generally speaking the only ones who can amend the Constitution or formally change the law of the land. So that is one branch. The judicial branch, I don't think I really need to go into detail of, but the executive branch is the branch that has, well, executive power. So that means they have the power to direct the machinery of government. The legislative branch can pass laws, but it's up to the executive branch to carry it out. So the executive is in charge of all of the soldiers, the government departments, the FBI, the CIA, all kind of the guts and mechanics of it, and they have a lot of discretion into how to um, do this. Now, in parliamentary systems, you have fusion of powers. So Justo is the both the head of the legislative and uh, executive branch. I think the president is theoretically part of both, but because the prime minister sits in parliament, he basically has total control of both of them. So most of what Trump is doing is executive orders. So he is writing out statements, orders to the executive branch, to the bureaucracy, to the government, and doing stuff within his purview. Things that he can do with the powers as the executive. However, these are not laws, and the issue a lot of people have is that they can be reversed basically whenever Trump gets removed from office, and this is a game that is often played. However, um, VP, of course, is tie-breaking powers in the Senate. Yes, but like the president and VP doesn't oversee the Senate. They aren't like in. You guys know what I mean. So, um, we've had just a lot of stuff happen. So, like I said, these are executive orders. They can be overturned by a future president. But I think you have to keep in mind that if you throw a hand grenade into an ongoing process and you dismantle it, then they have to reset up everything. So, are we going to go back to DEI if a Democrat wins next time? Yes. But will it be more difficult because Trump has dismantled a bunch of stuff and all the plants have been ridden up and all the infrastructure has been destroyed? Yes, I think it will be harder. So I think that's the thing to keep in mind as we're going through this stuff is it may the damage that's being done, and we'll especially get to this when we start talking about the NGOs, is going to take some time for whoever the successor is to undo. And if Vance succeeds him and keeps up a lot of the same stuff going, it's going to be even harder to reauthorize a lot of this stuff and rebuild it. So there is a lot of this stuff is getting challenged by the judiciary. It's getting challenged by by these various executive offices. Like when Trump issued the Jan 6 pardon, I think the jails in DC tried to refuse to release them. We've already seen stuff like that, but he's going a lot further than I think a lot of people thought. In particular, he's doing something that he really should have done the first time, where he's purging a lot of departments. So the entire federal bureaucracy, in my understanding, serves at the behest of the president. They serve at his pleasure. So he's going through and basically firing every single person he can and replacing them with people who are loyal to him and will do what he tells them to do. So before we get into that, we have some interesting thing that I would like to cover. Apparently, and this is actually kind of shocking, Trump has a net favorable opinion. Trump is at net favorability. He's at +1, but given how like divisive Trump is, so he has positive favorability. He also has a positive approval rating. I try to remember what Biden's was. Biden's was like way, way lower. So all this stuff that Trump's done that like a lot of people would say is radical or like over the top or far right about something, is popular. Like the way I kind of define Trump is he has a high ceiling and he has a low ceiling and a high floor. So there's 40% of the country who is a diehard Trump supporters and will basically just do whatever he tells them to do. But there's a lot of people who don't like him. So he's always going to have a very solid base of support, more so than Biden. But a lot of people are repelled by his personality or his way of doing things or stuff like that. So Biden was at negative 20 job approval. Trump is at positive 5, which is really high. So I just want to keep it in mind for when we go through this. Um, Base Caulfield says, I don't think Trump is far right. There used to be something called common sense conservatism. No, like, I agree with you. My point is the way that the media and political discourse is portraying him is that he's a neo-Nazi, he's a dictator, stuff like that. Despite all this characterization, it seems that the stuff he's doing that the media has told us was completely outside of like mainstream political discourse is actually very popular. And it hasn't screwed him. So let's just start going through some stuff. So we're going to go through just kind of some basic things. So some of the wins. So Pete Hegseth, if that's how you pronounce his name, is going to reverse, as far as we could determine, the naming changes. So there was a bunch of U.S. military bases that were named after Confederate officers during the whole cancel BLM thing. They went through and they changed the name of all of these bases. In particular, Fort Bragg got renamed to Fort Liberty in 2023. A bunch of other stuff got changed, and it looks like that stuff is going to get reversed. They're going to get rid of these shitty stuff like that. We're going to go back to the old names. So that is a huge W. In my book, I still think Gulf of America is stupid, and I'm going to maintain that position. But this is like, how often do we actually see any kind of rollback on these things? Like I very rarely see any of this stuff get reversed. So that is a win. I think that alone is pretty cool. We'll see when he actually does it, but the dude was just sworn in, like, I think Hegseth was just confirmed yesterday, so give him a bit of time. So Trump is promoting the death penalty again, which is awesome. Trump signs death penalty order directing Attorney General to help states get legal injection drugs. So we're bringing back the death penalty. We're going to actively being promoted in the United States. So that's, I think, good. I'm a strong supporter of the death penalty personally. So I'm really happy that they're doing that. So once again, these are things that, like, I just think that yeah. Oh, I like how Dylan Roof is he's like the only person left on death row. That's pretty funny. The only people are like the Boston bomber, Dylan Roof, and some other uh, like racist guy. Okay, so we got that. Let's see, what was this? Okay, yep. Expand the federal death penalty, which like I said, I'm a big fan of. He wants to expand it to include child rapists, migrants who kill U.S. migrants who kill U.S. citizens, and those convicted of drug and human trafficking. I mean, that's good. Like, Bukele has shown us that being brutal with criminals can work. So that's good. Like, people are tired of all of this nonsense with this, like, pro-crime agenda. And I know that sounds like a conservative talking point, but I live in Canada, and that's very much how they feel about it. So Trump has purged the National Security Council. 160 of them have been sent home. Well, the administration is reviewing it and tries to align it with Trump's agenda. So these are probably going to get removed. They're directed to be on call report only if they're contacted by the National Security Council. So these people are getting purged. It looks like. I'm not entirely sure what the difference is between the National Security Council and some of the other ones are, but I mean, it's good. These are the same assholes who've led the U.S. like for the last 20 years. So any of these guys getting removed, like any of the neocons being removed, is good. We also have school choice. There we go. Once again, we got a lot of really good shit going on. Um, let's see here. President Trump issued an executive order that prioritizes and frees up federal funding for school choice programs. That's great. That means more. So, from my understanding, sorry if I don't explain. If you want me to go back and give an explanation of what something is, I sometimes assume people know stuff that they may not. My understanding of school choice is you get a voucher for however much federal or state funding the government would spend on a public school, and you can use that as a credit towards a public school or a religious school. So let's say the government would be spending $10,000 a year for you to go to public school. With school choice, you have the option to take that $10,000 and allocate it to like a Christian school or some other form of private school, is my understanding of how it works. And that's been a big thing that a lot of religion conservatives like, because they want to get their kids out of or a private school, yeah, want to get their kids out of the public education system for any number of different things. um so I Base Caulfield, I understand it's for private. I'm just saying, in a lot of cases, I find that tends to be where the debate is over, or that tends to be what people want to send their kids to. But yes, it definitely includes private schools. Uh, okay, I'm gonna remove that guy. Okay, I removed that guy. Okay, let's see here. Um, okay, so we got that, so that's good. We also is trying to dismantle the Department of Education, which I also am a big fan of. Okay, this is so based. Okay, let's take a look at this. Um, Trump's plan to axe U.S. Education Department puts marginalized students most at risk, experts warn. The president can't fully eliminate the federal agency, but an overhaul could disrupt critical services for students who are of color, low income, or BLT BBQ. So, is this supposed to make me like not like it? Access to an equitable education is dependent on the initiatives and programs provided by the Department of Education. Provides targeted funding for low income students, collects data on educational outcomes, and investigates potential bias. Essential functions that help underserved students. Now, we went through the New Jersey decision to remove the basic literacy requirement from teachers, and we were able to determine that the supposed, like, the standards that they want to reduce it to is like grade 4 level, or no, it's like below grade 4 level. Like, the amount of stuff that they were saying minorities can't actually do is like very basic algebra, like grade 4 or 5 level reading comprehension questions, or stuff like that. So Linda McMahon came back. The the wife of Vince McMahon, the head of WWE. So she has pledged to return rights to the states. Something I have heard of is the idea is that they're going to take the federal funding and just give it as block grants to the states. So, however much money they would be spending, it's divided up, and the states are free to pursue their own policies. Now, this is going to depend very wildly by state. I have friends who have worked in some smaller red states, and the public education system there was really shitty for a number of different reasons, but I don't know. Hopefully, with more resources, they'd be able to do stuff. Department of Education was 1867. Collect data on schools, protections and accountability measures, priorities, and can use funding incentives to encourage school districts to work around an issue. If teacher diversity is a focus, the department can leverage federal dollars to create a competition for folks to apply for dollars to improve the diverse educator pipeline. What the fuck does that mean? The diverse educator pipeline. According to the department's annual report, with 45% of complaints relating to sex discrimination, the OCR fielded several complaints from BLTBBQ students regarding against their school districts. Okay, so we're going to war with the Department of Education. So it's more than that. We're getting a full-scale purge of the federal workforce. So, we have something called a buyout. So this is something a lot of companies or organizations will do when they want to get rid of employees, but they don't want to do layoffs or firing or stuff like that. So when Ford was restructuring, this is something that they did a lot. Because I read this book. I'd recommend it. It's a book called American Icon. Sorry, just slight field trip. Yeah, American Icon, Ellen Malawi and the Fight to Save Ford Motor Company was a really interesting book about how Ford was able. Okay, I'll be back in a minute. I just have. Yep, on my way. Sorry about that. That was just I was just running to grab if there's a delivery. I think it. So a buyout is when they want to get rid of people, but they don't want to fire people. So what they say is, I'm going to give you bunch of money if you voluntarily leave your job. So a lot of people will take this because they go, look, the writing's on the wall. I might be getting fired. There might be layoffs. I might as well just leave now on my own terms and not have to deal with the other stuff. You just take a bunch of money and leave. So Trump is trying to get rid of a bunch of federal government employees. So he has said anybody who wants to leave will get 8 months of salary. So if you want to get away from, if you want to leave the federal government, you get 8 months of salary. So this is a short-term expense, but long-term it reduces the number of employees you have in order to save money. But it's nice because it means that you're not firing people which people don't like. So we're trying to get rid of that. He's doing that, so that should be good. I'm not against public employees per se, but there needs to be some cutting. America is facing like a cataclysmic crisis. So we also have people who were kicked out of the military for refusing to get the COVID vaccine are being reinstated, and they're getting back pay for the time that they were kicked out. So they're back. So if you were in the military and you refused to take the vaccine and got kicked out, you are back. So that's good. So that's a step in the right direction. Okay, now let's look at the DEI, because Trump has completely gutted DEI. Trump administration ends government diversity program and takes aim at DEI. The Trump administration has ordered all federal employees who work in diversity, equity, and inclusion roles to be placed on paid leave. Agency supervisors were asked to submit a written plan by the end of the month for dismissing employees. It's one of the administration's efforts to upend DEI efforts nationwide. So all the like human rights coordinators, all of the diversity instructors, all that bullshit, the hall monitors, the commissars, all those people are going to go away in the federal government, which is awesome. That's cool. So I think that's great. That is a massive step in the right direction. So can this be revoked? Yes. It definitely can be revoked, and the next person can try to re-implement it. But this is going to do so much damage. All these people are going to get removed. All the plans are going to be torn up. The infrastructure is going to be dismantled. I think it's fucking amazing. Department of Health and Human Services alone employs 294 DEI staffers. How many federal employees there are? So these like, okay, so you can argue for some of the people who they're going to get rid of are probably hardworking federal employees who are just trying to do their job and trying to earn a living. I guarantee you everybody involved with DEI deserves to be fought. They deserve whatever fate they get because they're actively making the country worse. They're actively making the world worse, and Trump is actively making the world better. Let's see here. Trump orders. So yeah, they're going to dismantle DEI. Let's see here. Let's go through some of this other stuff, and it's not just Trump. I don't know. I know lots of good people who are public sector employees. It's I don't think it's entire. It's I don't know. I don't think it's entirely fair. Some of what they get. A lot of it is you're only kind of as good as your boss and the conditions that a lot of them have to work under in terms of just like retarded, like they just have to deal with retarded mandates, they have to deal with DEI, they have to deal with bureaucracy, they have to deal with a lot of stuff. I think a lot of people do enter these fields like wanting to serve their country or wanting to try to make things more efficient, but there's so many things that are kind of in their way. Also, they just need to do cuts because the US is bankrupt. So, not just Trump is doing it, but when Trump got elected, we switched to the better timeline. So, because Trump is doing this, um, other companies are getting rid of uh, their diversity, equity, their DEI. So, Facebook and Instagram are canceling affirmative action. Um, it's getting canceled. Uh, McDonald's is, I think, canceling it as well. Walmart is. So it's ending some of its diversity practices. Retire specific goals for achieving diversity at senior leadership levels. Intends to. So here's part of the issue with a lot of this stuff. I'm a firm believer that water finds its level, that a lot of things will naturally resolve themselves, all things being equal. So I think one of the reason why more women don't choose to have children is because there are incentives in place through affirmative action, through things that are promoted in the culture, through financial incentives for them to not do that. So I think if there was less affirmative action, if there was less kind of pressure and stuff like that, I think it might push it back water might find its level. Like I think, for instance, people will naturally self-segregate. Like people naturally prefer to be around other people of their race and religion. Um, and it's only really with things like forced integration with school busing and stuff like that that it happens. Like in a lot of cases, actually, affirmative action is gone for college. The Supreme Court overturned it for college. That got thrown out, which is what's leading to all of this. Like, I think blacks often would rather live among black people. Asians would like to live among Asians and stuff like that. And a lot of it is just these people are forced together and they have, like, what is it, Section 8, or they forcibly relocate people to certain areas. And I feel like without that, it naturally would not go that way. The other thing with regards to it is my understanding is virtually all prisoners want prisons segregated. Like that is something universally desired. So I kind of feel without these things trying to muck stuff up, um, they would find their level. Um, let's see here. But so I think a lot of this, without the incentives and without stuff like that, I think it would be better. Um, Also, is it is there like a systematic campaign to suppress how dangerous birth control pills are? Because like it's funny because like we talk about, oh, there's this massive increase in breast cancer and uterine cancer and all these other things. It's like, could it be women pumping themselves full of immense amounts of synthetic hormones from that disrupt their natural reproductive process from the time they're like 12 years old? Could that be the reason why their sexual organs are having cancer? No, that couldn't be the reason. Okay. Walmart will not be renewing a 5-year commitment for an equity race center set up in 2020 after George Floyd's death. It will better monitor. Okay, make sure items do not. Okay. Um, it will monitor its third-party marketplace to ensure items sold that do not include products aimed at trannies, including chest binders intended for transgender youth. So they're getting rid of the chest binders and the other trans stuff from Walmart. So once again, that is the case. Let's see here. That and them all being on SSRIs. That feel when I'm on an SSRI, but I actually have bipolar disorder, so I think, as I've said, I think antidepressants are way overprescribed. I think there are people who should be taking them and need to take them, but it is massively over prescribed. So the issue is not even so much the is not even so much the stores themselves. It's senior management, it's people in corporate, it's kind of the like the more prestigious jobs, but it is also at a base level. Like I know a lot of like white people in Canada who can't get, like they're trying to settle for like a job at McDonald's or a job at McDonald's or a warehouse or something or a grocery store, and they can't get it because of DEI and because Indians are incredibly nepotistic. They won't hire non-Indians. So a lot of people I know can't even get minimum wage work. So that is actually a thing too. Let's see here. So Trump signed executive orders Monday, rolling back protections for transgendered people. Okay, so one order declares the federal government would only recognize two immutable sexes, male and female. The definition will be based on whether people are born with eggs or sperm rather than on chromosomes. The change is pitched as a way to protect women from gender extremism, aka it's a concern troll. Uh, Argentina friend just died of ovarian cancer in less than a month. Some said it didn't show any symptoms until it was too late, but others think it's turbo cancer linked to the Russian 19 flu shot. I'm sorry to hear that, man. That's terrible. My condolences. I knew a guy who worked for McDonald's after leaving the military. LOL. Brampton looks like hell on earth. Yeah, it does. Brampton does look like hell on earth. So, um, federal prisons and shelters are to be segregated by sex as defined by the order. I like how it's called segregation now. Like, so I guess they weren't. I guess they were like starting to throw the trannies in with the women, because there's no way that could work out poorly. There's no way about that. Anyways, so federal taxpayer money cannot be used to fund transition services. A small number of federal prison inmates have undergone gender affirming surgery, and more have had treatments such as hormones paid for with federal funds. Um, so that's good. So that stuff is all positive. Also revoked protections for transgender military personnel that Biden had done. Let's see here. Race, gender, sexual orientation. It's being dismantled. Here is the troll. Trump officials said it's fitting the order is being delivered on Martin Luther King Jr. Day, as it aims to return to the idea that one day all Americans can be treated on the basis of their character and not on the color of their skin. Oh, that is so based. Okay, so there we go. That's a good troll. Okay. So let's see here. We have a lot. We're making our way through it. Okay, so it looks like they took that page down. Maybe. Oh no. Okay, start firing workers in DEI. Okay, so that's good. Right. COVID vaccines. Okay, so let's start looking at some government corruption stuff. So I've covered some of this stuff previously, but we're going to take another peek at it. So they are going to declassify the remaining JFK, RFK, and MLK uh, files. There's still some of them left. They're going to be released. I'm not sure if there's going to be any redacting on them or if they're going to get away with it, but they are going to release them. So I think that that's good. Hopefully they are going to come out. So there is 2,500 left. So that'd be good. We'll see that. It's not a huge deal, but I think it is something that needed to be done. Trump fires at least a dozen government watchdogs. So they are purging the government accountability, which is good because these are the same guy. I mean, like the government accountability or the good job with the whole like Ukraine funding. Remember when they said we can't do, because I remember the Republicans at one point were like, okay, we'll fund Ukraine, but we need to have an audit done of where the money went. And they're like, we can't tell you where the money went. The money just went to places and to people. So yeah, they are. So they're purging a lot of the watchdogs. I mean, these people are fucking like people are complaining about RFK being the head of health and human services. Look, America's health is so fucked. Like, we might as well let RFK go through with a wrecking ball. Like, he can't do a worse job than the assholes we're running it at the moment. Let's see here. Okay, this is really funny. This next one is you know what? Does it say what the name of the person is who put this out? No, it doesn't. But I'd be interested in looking at the early life section. So this is Reporters Without Borders. Trump's vision of free speech comes at the expense of press freedom. That is a fucking amazing headline. Among his first official acts to retrieve the White House, Trump issued an executive order restoring freedom of speech and ending federal citizenship. The United States is done fighting mis and disinformation online. Meanwhile, far from living up to okay, so they're just complaining about that. Okay. Has pardoned at least 13 individuals. So he pardoned some individuals who were charged with attacking journalists on January 6th, which is based. So this is an attack on the press. This is Trump banning the media by pardoning some people who allegedly attacked reporters. Trump has long been one of the media's most prevalent spreaders of false information. I like how, like, this Reporters Without Borders, they're like a. Do they claim that they're nonpartisan? Let's see here. Uh, let's see. What do they support? Freedom of information. Oh, so they support freedom of information. Does it say who funds them? I bet you any amount of money, it's the NED. So they're starting this off by saying that Trump is a liar, so that's a good way to do it. His latest series of victories for propagators of disinformation online. Mark Zuckerberg, whose meta platforms are already hostile to journalism, did away with fact checking on Facebook, which the tech mogul falsely equated to censorship while throwing fact checking journalists under the bus. Who fact checks the fact checkers? That's what I want to know. Who fact checks the fact checkers? Dismantles the meager trust and safety safeguards in place when he took over Twitter and proceeded to arbitrarily ban journalists who were critical of him from the site. I mean, Elon does ban people who make fun of him. That is true. I'm not going to pretend that that's not the case. But something that I always like to point out, none of these people have any self-awareness. If you notice in every single one of these articles, the question is never asked, why do people have why do people think that fact checking is a form of censorship? Like that's not even like you may have noticed that's not even addressed. Like any of these, it's like, well, why are people so concerned over fact checking? Why is this an issue? Why are conservatives upset about it? Why is there this perception? And just none of this stuff is even referenced. Like there's no self-awareness. There's no self-reflection. Nowhere in this article, I'm sure, do they ask the question of why don't people trust the media? Okay, so free speech doesn't mean public disclosure has to be free of facts. Donald Trump and his big tech cronies like Elon Musk and Mark Zuckerberg. Mark Zuckerberg is such a snake. I hope Trump doesn't give him anything. We can ignore the irony of Trump appointing himself as the chief crusader of free speech while he continues to attack press freedom. He has vowed to weaponize the federal government against expression he doesn't like. He should start by dropping his lawsuits against news organizations. Is defamation the same thing as fact checking? Like, I don't think that is the same thing. To be honest, like, is saying that, okay, like, let's take an example. Trump said that all the major cities, the big cities in America, are controlled by Democrats, and they fact checked him and said, well, it's only 24 out of 25, so Trump is a liar. Is that the same as calling someone a pedophile publicly and accusing them of molesting kids? I don't think it is. I just don't. Maybe I'm just crazy. But I think if you accuse someone of committing a crime or you defame their reputation, I think that is different than fact checking. To be honest. Like, and I've always said I really, really don't like when people accuse other people of being pedos with no evidence, because it is the worst thing you can accuse someone of. Let's see here. An incoherent press freedom policy flies in the face of his violent rhetoric against journalists. Let's see here. During the order asserts that during the Biden administration, the federal government infringed on constitutionally protected speech rights of American citizens across the United States in a manner that advanced the government's preferred narrative about significant matters of public debate. It goes on to state it is the policy of the United States to ensure that no federal government officer, employee, or agent engages in or facilitates any conduct that would unconstitutionally. So, yeah, they're just complaining about it. Stuff like that. The United States has a steady decline in its press freedom over the past decade, is currently ranking 55 out of 180 countries. Another thing you may have noticed is, I don't know if people noticed this, but there's this ongoing narrative now that Trump was president for the last decade. Like, people said that when Kamala needed to get elected to put the decade of Trump behind them, like, but Trump was only president for like half of it. And now they're saying like, oh, well, America's 55th out of 180. Who was president during the last 4 years? I don't know. They think it was Trump, I guess. I guess that is the the illusion, the thing. So we'll get to some other stuff. We're just going to go through a couple foreign policy things. We'll get to the migrant stuff. So we have some good foreign policy stuff. Trump is saying he's going to reach out to North Korea's Kim Jong Un. They're going to restart negotiations. They're going to restart de-escalation, which I think was one of Trump's biggest accomplishments in his first term, is that he was able to go and meet with the leader of North Korea and start dialogue. And I looked it up. A lot of stuff did happen. There was a lot of de-escalation. They removed a bunch of soldiers and outposts and stuff from the border. Real progress was actually made on the whole North Korean situation. The North Korean situation than anyone else had. So I think that's a good sign. I'm glad that they're actually talking to people again. Let's see here. Trump had a phone call with Xi. Apparently, he claims it went well. It probably did. Apparently, they talked. President Xi and I will do everything possible to make the world more peaceful and safe. Read out Chinese Foreign Ministry. Xi said he and Trump attach great importance to mutual interactions and hope for a good start of the U.S.-China relationship during Trump's second term. So, I mean, I'm happy about that. Like, he's at least going and having a discussion with Xi, which is more than what could be said for, like, what Biden's doing. So, we'll see what actually winds up happening. I think that's a step in the right direction. Let's see here. Trump had a call with Modi. Modi and Trump get along, so that's good. America's relationship with India has been strained under Biden because Biden was engaged in some low-level regime change and stuff like that. So I think that's also a step in the right direction. I think, generally speaking, having good relations with other countries for trade, for security, for all kinds of stuff is good. Okay, so we have some stuff on North Korea. We'll get to the immigrant stuff in a second, but Trump has done a bunch of pro-life shit. Okay, so he's signed an executive order to enforce the Born Alive Abortion Survivors Protection Act. So something that they do this a lot in Canada, but they also do this a lot in the U.S., is if someone is like if a baby is born as the result of a botched abortion, because they do late term abortions and they'll do partial birth abortions. What they will do is something called a post-birth abortion, wherein what they wind up doing is they go and I just stopped looking at the chat. They leave the child to die. So they'll put the child in like a room, they'll let the child starve to death or something like that, or they'll smother the child, or they'll, in the case of Kermit Gosnell, they would stab the kids with scissors. And this is an ongoing issue. And this is actually something Obama, when he was a state senator in Illinois, he referred to babies who were born alive as fetuses. And I think he was the only person to vote against the Born Alive Act in Illinois. Even the Democrats voted for it. So, trying to enforce restrictions on post-birth abortion, there's actually a lot of these that happen. I think I looked it up once. There was actually quite a bit. Okay, so HHS plans to enforce religious rights laws, abortion protections. So they're trying to reinforce the ability of doctors or other healthcare workers who don't want to perform abortions. Now, I think in Canada, you basically have to. uh, perform it regardless of what your moral oppositions are to it. But this is good. This is providing more religious protections. I'm glad about that. Cyborg Assassin, why is abortion, excuse me, necessary? There are some arguments for it. I'm just wondering why in particular you're taking that position. Let's see. Trump is banning funding for abortion in the U.S. so overseas, so they're going to stop going and they're going to stop going and funding this shit in other countries, which I'm happy about. And they're going to stop federal funding to support that kind of thing. So so I think that is good. Step in the right direction. Let's see. It forces overwhelming popular demand to stop taxpayer funding of abortion. I think that's great. I think that's good stuff. Let's see here. Okay, federal funding of abortion. So that stuff is all good. All right. So, you know what? We'll do one more fun thing. We'll do two more fun stories, and then we'll get to the next big thing, which is the stuff. Because it's mostly the irresponsible that have abortions. I mean, but is that the baby's fault? I don't know. I don't think it's the baby's fault. They can get adopted. Um, they can get adopted. There's a shortage of adoptable children. That's why they are trying to um why they have to adopt kids from the third world. I just don't want to live in a society where we kill babies. Now, as I've said numerous times, I don't think you can ban abortion in the case of rape. I still think it's bad, but I understand that that's considered different by a lot of people in that you practically can't do that. I would just be happy with banning elective abortion, which is 99% of cases. All of the shit they bring up, like threat to mother's life, rape, incest, is like less than one, is like 1%. So, but I think there are decent people who have that position, that it should be legal in the case of rape, so I'm okay with that. Well, I'm in the case of mutants and Downey. Is that like what society was like before we had abortion? Was there just I always bring up the thing of the Chad Downey. Like there's these Chad Downeys who are impregnating everybody. Um I I don't think that happens. I don't even think people with Down syndrome are fertile. Anyways, um okay, so the federal government, we are trying to push classical architecture. Revives his fight against modern and contemporary architecture and pushes for federal buildings to be designed largely in neoclassical um, styles that he has said command respect. Let's see here. Um, okay, revives his fight. Okay, so Trump said he wants federal architecture to respect regional, traditional, and classical architectural heritage. The styles derived from ancient Greece and Rome, the preferred and default architecture for federal buildings. So he wants polished marble. So he's trying to do that. The American Institute of Architects responded in a Jan 21st statement. They are extremely concerned about any changes that hinder design freedom. adding that federal buildings must reflect Americans' wealth of culture, rich traditions, and unique geographical regions. Um, let's see here. Who are these people? Okay, here we go. Um, uh, Daniel Abrahamson. I'm guess he's against it. Founding fathers seek to build a new Rome. So okay, that's based. I think that's cool. Um, Promoting traditional architectural styles. Let's see here. The architects are pissed off about it. American Institute of Architects have criticized could harm local communities. Let's see here. We are extremely concerned. Okay, that this'll. Does it say it'll hurt minorities and gay people? Okay, so Reinhold Martin. Okay, let's see here. Let's look at the early life section of this dude. Oh, okay. No, okay. Executive order is meaningless. It's white supremacy. Okay, it's white supremacy. That's cool. Let's see here. By the way, side note, there is a film out that sounds like a villain origin story. It looks like a villain origin story. So it is about the guy who invented brutalist architecture and like Hungarian Jewish Holocaust survivor immigrates to the United States in order to and leads the development of brutalism. So it's like this 4 hour long epic movie about this dude who destroyed architecture forever. Survivor of the concentration camp who immigrates to America. So it sounds like a fucking Village in Orange story, doesn't it? By the way, while we're on the topic of the Holocaust, let me just go to my YouTube account because this is completely unrelated to anything Trump, but I wanted to cover it because it's my show and I can do whatever I want on my show. So this year we had the 80th anniversary of the 80th anniversary of the liberation of Auschwitz. So Russia has been banned. They've been banned for the last 3 years, but Russia is barred from the Auschwitz liberation celebrations. Now, for those of you who are not aware, Auschwitz was liberated by Russia. Well, by the Soviet Union, which is the legal predecessor state to Russia and the legal successor state to the Russian Empire that had the Russian core to it. But regardless, there's a Guardian article, which if you read it, it does not mention who liberated the camps. It just says it was liberated. It does not mention Russia. It does not reference the Soviet Union. Apparently, this is a thing that's been going on. I've heard about where they are trying to remove references to Russia liberating Auschwitz. As I've said, when it comes to the Human Instrumentality Project, the fact that we're watching them make up shit in real time does kind of, yeah, it's interesting. They're just rewriting it for political expediency. It really makes you think. The funny thing about it is the Soviet soldiers who liberated it were all Ukrainians, coincidentally. Okay. Also, has isn't this kind of a thing where literally everybody who tried to help out them during the Holocaust has been thrown under the bus? I feel like that. I remember during the Gaza war, like a whole bunch of shit got made up. Does anyone remember, like, they kept finding the copies of Mein Kampf everywhere, and there was like the hospital they blew up, and then they pretended it was the Hamas command center or something like that. But yeah, so we're just going to do a side note about that. Okay, so let's get into it. So, we're going to transition into immigration. So, Trump is deploying the military to the southern border. Um, okay, so yep, we are sending more troops to the, or sorry, not us, but the American government is sending more troops to the Mexican border to help secure it. So that is good. Um, we have the first deportation flights that arriving in that. So it is being like a is being a relativist legal, because isn't asserting that nothing's true denying the human instrumentality project? Like, if you don't believe objective reality exists, isn't that denying the existence of a certain event in the 1940s? I'm just asking questions here. As I've said, like, none of the stuff that like neo Nazis and like historical revisionists and those people have put out has ever really seemed very credible to me. Like, a lot of it just seems really goofy and stuff like that. I think it's a bit like with global warming. So the biggest problem with global warming to me is how much just nonsense like was made up about it. Like, every time they say whatever they say, like New York will be underwater in 10 years, that it doesn't happen, or they'll make stuff up like that. I think it delegitimizes. And if it was actually, like, if it's real and it is a problem, then it delegitimizes it. Likewise, if you make stuff up about a certain event in the 1940s, and you do it in real time as a way of winning cheap political points, it makes people question a lot of stuff. Yeah, so I do think it's real. I do think it happened. I'm just saying that it, I think, delegitimizes it. Um, I feel like the Gaza war did a lot of damage to the whole thing. So I do think that there is some sort of man-made climate change. Personally, I know that's gonna probably piss people off, but it's the response to it is just so fucked. Like, yeah. Also, they're against nuclear power. So, anyways, so Trump is laying down the law. So Trump is wanted to deport a whole bunch of illegal immigrant criminals to Colombia, and the government of Colombia was against it. They're saying no, we're not going to, excuse me, take these people back, because they're being sent back like criminals. So they're like, no, we aren't going to take them. The planes are not going to unload. So Trump threatened them, and Trump basically told them that you're going to have to take them back, and if you don't, there's going to be tariffs. There's going to be punishment unless you take them back. Colombia was refusing to allow 2 U.S. flights carrying deported migrants to land because they were military, not civilian transport planes. We will not allow the Colombian government to violate its legal obligations with regards to the acceptance and return of criminals that forced themselves into the United States. The United States would introduce a travel ban and immediate visa restrictions on Colombian government officials, and they backed down, and the criminals are now back in Colombia. So that is based. Um, like he was Trump just completely mocked him. Trump just completely like humiliated him. So that's cool. So that's number one. He also had a conversation with Modi. Let the man cook. We're getting deportations. It takes a while to get them started, but they are happening. So Trump talked to Modi. Modi said that he's going to start off with by taking 18,000 undocumented immigrants back. And Modi said, let me see what Modi's government said. We want Indian talent. At the same time, we are firmly opposed to illegal mobility and illegal immigration. So we agree with them that illegal immigration's bad, and we will take the illegal immigrants back. So, okay, so India's on board. Mexico also got blown out. So, Mexico Embraces You is a program that was set up by the current government in Mexico at Trump's behest uh, to welcome back the Mexicans who Trump is deporting. Let's see here. Mexico will also temporarily receive migrants from other countries at its southern border. So they're also going to send Central Americans there. Let's see here. Except Mexicans. Let's see here. Provide humanitarian assistance. Let's see here. Mexican. Okay. So they're gonna take deportees who are not Mexican, and then will voluntarily return them to their country as of origin. The Mexico Embraces You strategy. So they're gonna start sending them back. So no, I didn't read the massive Twitter post by the president of Colombia. Did he have like a meltdown or something like that? So that's good. So Mexico has received over 4,000 immigrants. So in the first week of Trump's rule, I mean that's a start. Like we'll see. Give the man time to cook. Give the man time to cook. It's going. Um, so I think they just said that they take like any number of them back. So let's see here. Okay, so Mexico's been bullied into cooperation. We'll see how it plays out, but Mexican workers set up tent city. So yeah, Mexico will do everything to care for its compatriots and will allocate whatever is necessary to receive those who are repatriated. Okay, so all right. In pictures, first deportation flights of Trump's presidency arrive in Latin America, Guatemala, Mexico, Colombia. On one of the flights, there was 265 Guatemalans. Let's see. Always welcome the arrival of Mexicans to our territories. Hundreds deported by. Okay, so they're doing criminals first, but and people are complaining about the fact that they're focusing on criminals. Look, we're getting deportations. Let the man cook. Um, just let's go. Let's start it's progress. We're getting them out of the country. They're getting them out of the country. So we'll see how it goes. Let's see here. So they're being deported to Guatemala. All right. Okay. Here's another feel good story. Here's another feel good story. Haitian Trump administration's deportation plans will be catastrophic. The president of Haiti's said that Trump's administration's decision to freeze aid programs and deport migrants and block refugees will be catastrophic for Haiti. So he's going to Francis to try to get the Pope to intervene on his behalf. Let's see. Half of Haiti's 11 million people are starving, and losing humanitarian assistance will make it dramatically worse. Trump said that Haiti is a shithole, so I don't think he will care about Haiti. Dominican Republic is also doing mass deportations of Haitians. The situation will be catastrophic. The White House, those who can contribute to society. Let's see here. There are roughly 1 million Haitians in. Let's see here. I'm just taking a look at this. Barbecue is the real leader of Haiti. He is the real leader of Haiti. Trump says he will expel all of them, adding that Haiti, who is already struggling with hunger and internally displaced people, cannot handle the influx. But I mean, we're going to have more Haitians. Like, the Haitians are... Haiti is a great country. So more Haitians will make it better, right? Internal displacement in Haiti, relentless gang violence. Gangs control 85% of the capital and are controlling the countryside. So, yep. So there's plans to deport the Haitians. We also have the cancellation of temporary protected status, which is something that refugees have. So you can show up in the United States and claim persecution or whatever, and you're given temporary protected status and allowed to go there. So Rain is currently hiding behind a broom in my apartment because she's scared because Haitians were mentioned. It's okay, girl. I'll protect you. Trump will protect you. So part of the thing is, a lot of the immigrants are not actually illegal immigrants. They're refugees, or as I like to call them, fake refugees. So if you look at the refugee crisis in Europe, on average, the people tended to be, on average, the people tended to be wealthier than average and better educated than average, and they were all military-aged males. So what happens is a lot of economic migrants will pretend to be refugees. Will pretend to be, Freudian slip, refugees in order to get legal status. So they are not technically illegal immigrants; they are refugees. So revoking the refugee status and stuff like that. I will say this: I am okay to take any number of Ukrainian refugees. I will take the entire population of Ukraine and Canada. I'm okay with that. I'm okay with taking Azov and the entire Ukrainian far right. I'm okay with them setting up an ethno-state in the prairie provinces. I will be 100% on board with that. Let's see. Protection is valid. So they are 600,000 Venezuelans who are currently in America under temporary protective. So this is being canceled. as a step. So this is being canceled for Haitians. This is being canceled for a whole bunch of people and stuff like that. It's good. Rain's currently sitting in my lap because she's a good kitty. Let's see here. Let's see here. Okay. There you go, girl. You can go. Ow! Don't bite me. Rain's biting me. Okay, so ICE announced that they are starting to deport Venezuelan. Oh no, wait, this is from last year. Oh, okay, that's wrong. That's fake news. That was an old article. Let's see here. Administration stops temporary protective status for Cubans, Haitians, Nigerians, and Venezuelans. I'm not so upset about the. I mean, I'm not. The Cubans aren't a big deal, but yeah, hundreds of thousands of people are getting their refugee status revoked. Uh, let's see. Where is it? Trump ends Dash's hopes, scams, and challenges of finding a new way to remain in Canada. Sorry, not Canada, in America. So this is getting shut down. Apparently, the Haitians in Springfield are terrified that they are going to be physically removed. So let's go. So stuff is happening. Let the man cook. We're dealing with these people. Okay. So, okay, we are going to head on to. There's one other major thing that we need to cover, and this might wind up being the single most important one that Trump is doing, more important than all this other stuff. So, Trump froze aid to USA. And suspended and terminated a whole bunch of contractors. Now, I looked into this a bit more, and I was initially not entirely sure about it, but it makes a lot of sense to me. So, okay, so dozens of senior staff from USAID have been placed on administrative leave or fired. They've suspended all these aid programs, all this stuff. It is being shut down. So when you hear USAID, what do you think? We're going to give you, we're going to give them like starving people or people who are undergoing pandemics or stuff like that. We're giving temporary humanitarian assistance to people facing disasters. Now, if we start to go in and look at what USAID is, so USAID is the main funder of the National Endowment of Democracy. So let's go through and let's see the kind of stuff that they're involved with. So let's take a look at Georgia, Armenia, Hungary. Am I misspelling Hungary? Am I that being that retarded? Okay, no, that's Serbia. Oh no, that's the NED works there. Thailand. Okay, so if we start looking at, so what is the humanitarian? Because Armenia needs a lot of humanitarian aid, doesn't it? Armenia needs that because you have all the Nagorno-Karabakh people. So let's take a look at the kind of programs that they support in Armenia. We have advance its democratic transition, journey to self-reliance, strengthening. Let's see here. So let's see kind of programs we have. Democracy, human rights, and governments. Okay, local governance reform activity. We have local works, promotes locally led and community-centered development citizen identified community priorities, civic engagement in local government, media for informed civic engagement, uh, accountability, strengthening electoral processes, election integrity, civil for funding opposition media. So we got this. Let's see, what are they doing in Thailand? Civil society, build key skill sets within civil society organizations in Thailand. This is what led to the current color revolution there. What else do we have? So we have them there. Georgia. So Georgia has spent. So the U.S. has spent $6 billion in Georgia, basically fucking the country up. It's our work. Let's see here. Countering malign influence. Okay, so our programming to counter malign influence, they're funding anti-Russian, anti-Chinese stuff there. Supporting citizen responsive government. That sounds suspiciously like regime change to me. And let's see. Let's take a look at some of the other stuff that this is funding. Oh, here we go. U.S. government, Serbia, because Serbia's been having a lot of issues lately with mass protests and serves for violence and stuff like that. Let's see, democracy, human rights, and governments. Let's see. Let's look at the programs that Justice for All, media innovation, improve the economic sustainability of Serbian digital media and communication providers. So opposition media. Apparently in Hungary, independent journalism is going to die. Journalism. So I don't have it here, but like the opposition media is freaking out. Here we go. Trump cuts off the state's head, sidelines U.S. aid leadership. So let's see here. Complete freeze on such aid. Hard times for Kiev. U.S. history of foreign interference. So, advancing American empire building. Close relationship with the CIA. I'm just trying to find this. Oh yeah, strengthen So the U.S. government has been trying to overthrow Orban for years now. We covered this back in the day, wherein what was it? The U.S. ambassador basically they appointed some like gay dude. I think he might have been a gay Jewish dude to be the ambassador, and he gave a speech about how he was going to bring down Orban and stuff like that. Media watchdog skills, finance independence of independent media, demographic principles. Let's see here. Samantha Power went there and was involved with regime change and stuff like that. So they're no longer funding this stuff. So at least temporarily. Let's see here. Aid freeze. This was something from Open Democracy, Color Revolutions, NGOs, and Color Revolutions. So NGOs tend to be the main people behind colored revolutions. The Rose Revolution, Orange Revolution, Tulip Revolution. There's some other stuff. Most of these are done by NGOs who are directly funded by the US State Department, by USAID, and by the National Endowment for Democracy. Let's see here. We take a look at this. This is about how the uh, withdrew their bills. From afar, the protests may appear organic, but it is done by NGOs who are funded by the US. I think Georgia and Armenia have the most NGOs per capita. And they just flood the country with this stuff, and they create a corrupt counter elite and stuff like that. They're recently trying to do a coup in Cambodia. Let's take a look at this. Sunday Guardian. Biden administration backed organizations plotting colored revolution in Cambodia. Cambodia is interesting because it's become a conservative party country. So the Cambodian People's Party stopped being communist when the Cold War ended, and now they're like a conservative party. It's really weird. Like, they restored the monarchy, and they made Buddhism the national religion. So Cambodia is like a conservative country now, and that's a bad thing, and they want to overthrow it. Granted, like, Cambodia is not a democratic society or whatever, but if it was a communist country, they probably would not care as much. But they were trying to overthrow the Cambodian government. Let's see here. Okay. Increased government. So this is from USAID. I think this is also the National Endowment of Democracy. So increased government responsiveness to citizen priorities. So this was with regards to Rwanda. So they go through here how they are going about training journalists, alternate dispute resolutions, teaching people about LGBTQ stuff, things like that. So we go and we take a look at the National Endowment for Democracy. So we'll take a look at their website in a second, but it is funded mostly by USAID. If you go in and you start looking at the National Endowment for Democracy, you will find that they are just basically trying to regime change basically anyway. Like, anytime you have like gay marriage being passed in a country, anytime you have all this other stuff go on, it's generally speaking some sort of regime change operation. Promoting investigative journalism, going after Russia, university students from Georgia, 107 projects to try to regime change Russia, strengthening and supporting Russian Democrats through a range of community building activities, that by supporting projects that are keeping political prisoners and human rights violations in the public eye. So the NED, it's doing that. Let's see who else. Armenia, 32 projects in Armenia. Democracy has made has made considerable progress in the 6 years since the Velvet Revolution. The Pashinyan government has presided over three free and fair elections. I mean, Pashinyan is despised by a lot of the Armenian population. he completely just he is like one of the biggest snakes in history. Here's some people that they paid off. Uh, Across Kazakhstan, citizens are re-examining the country's economic and political relationship. Citizens are examining their colonial past, advancing new forms of Kazakh civic identity. So yeah, they're promoting post-colonialism in Kazakhstan to try to get them to, to go with that. Um, I always find it funny if you notice it. They always say full scale invasion of Ukraine. It's always full scale invasion. They tried to start the feminist revolution in Iran. Let's see what they're doing in Iran. Um, Promoting accountability, supporting independent media, defending and advocating the extension of the civic space. I'm just trying to see here. Afghanistan. I thought they got kicked out of Afghanistan. Nope, they're still trying to undermine Tunisia, Iraq, Iran. Uh, NED program is focused on empowering civil society and political activists to counter authoritarianism and promote a democratic future. Key programs: countering state disinformation, fostering collaboration among Iranian activists, and attempting to basically regime change. So all of these fucking assholes are getting defunded, hopefully. And will the money go back? Probably. But hopefully it disrupts this. What website is this? This is the National Endowment for Democracy's website. So you can look at that, and I'll post the USA. So once again, this is not like a conspiracy. This is the United States government's like website. This is ned.org, based in Washington, D.C. If we take a look at this, about the National Endowment for Democracy, more than 2,000 grants. Let's see. Annual report. If you go through and you take a look at their annual reports, they will go through and talk about all the stuff that they're involved with. Bipartisan and transparent. No, it's just a lot of these countries are having their like traditional cultures destroyed by these assholes. So it's based. Governance and accountability. So yeah, this is the NED. Also USA. Once again, this is their official website. It's not like this is not some like conspiracy theory thing. This is, feel free, as with anything I say, feel free to go look at it yourself. It's, I tried to post my sources. I Oh yeah, okay, that's down there. I wasn't able to post all of them just because there's a character limit. Oh, I can't believe I forgot to mention it. Trump's first action was pardoning the. Okay, so let's transition. Let's just take a look at some of the executive orders. So one of the first things that Trump did was pardoning all the January 6th. Now, I know we've talked about this before, but it's worth going over it again. So all the Jan 6 guys got pardoned on the first day. They got released from jail. They're out. Also, it's based because it says year of our Lord. So yeah, they got released. He did pardon the Jan 6 guys. Let's see here. Ending weaponization of federal government. let's see here. Let's look at some of the executive orders. And like, okay, so if you'll permit me to go on a slight thing, I don't know. Like, I guess you could argue that in a lot of ways, I like multiculturalism on a global level. I love history. I am a firm believer in the common heritage of mankind. In the idea that there is a inherent value to the history of people, um, like to the historical traditions of people, like knowing their history, like their political history, their culture, their artifacts, artwork, literature, all that kind of stuff. I think has an inherent value, and I really hate it whenever that stuff gets destroyed. And that doesn't matter if it's pagan or it's Christian or whatever. I like that. I like being able to read about the like China and Japan or the Arabs or stuff like that, and looking at these different peoples and these different histories. To me, it's what makes the world interesting, is to be able to look at, like, in particular, China is a civilization that is completely alien, that has a completely different way of looking at the world. And to me, it's fascinating to be able to go and look at that. And I do think at a basic level, if all that was to go away and everyone was just to adopt generic African American culture, whatever, it would be a much poorer world for it. Um, it would be a much poorer world. Let's see. Emergency at the southern border. Withdrew from the World Health Organization. Delayed the sale of TikTok. Let's see here. U.S. foreign aid, federal. Okay, securing our borders. Okay, so Trump also. I know I'm jumping all over the place, but there's a lot of stuff that has happened. So birthright citizenship is gone. It has been physically removed. Now this is getting blocked, but if you are born on American soil and you are not an American, not the child of an American citizen, you are no longer automatically a citizen. So this is the whole anchor baby thing, where if you were born in the United States, then you were automatically a citizen. Um, so if you read the actual what the 14th Amendment says, all persons born or naturalized in the United States and subject to the jurisdiction thereof are citizens of the United States and of the state wherein they reside. So to most people who like speak language, subject to the jurisdiction thereof sounds like they are a citizen or something to that. To that. So if you're born to a an American citizen, you are automatically an American citizen. It's why I didn't really understand the whole birther thing, because no one doubted that Obama's mother was an American citizen, so he would be a natural born American citizen. I don't really get, like, because they were arguing he was not born physically in the US. I don't know. Like, I don't know if people have seen this, but like liberals, like Project Liberal and those F slurs, are trying to push back against this. And they're saying that like Trump's children with Melania are not, or no, that Barron and the children with his previous wife, who I think is also from Eastern Europe, are not legal citizens because their mother was an immigrant. It's like, A, they were a legal immigrant. B, Trump is an American citizen. So they are the children of an American citizen, therefore they are American citizens. Like, it's just so fucking stupid. So why this was passed was for freed slaves to automatically get citizenship. Um, that was why it was created. that the slaves that were freed following the Civil War would immediately get American citizenship and their descendants would get American citizenship. That was the reason that it was passed. So this is removed. Um, so yeah, so they have to be a permanent resident or a citizen. This does not count for people who are lawfully but temporarily in the United States. So if I was to get married and go to the U.S. With my pregnant wife, and she was to give birth, I would legally be there, but I would not be. But the child would not be subject to the United States; it would be temporary. So I'm planning actually on going to. I'm going on vacation to Washington D.C. in March because I want to see. I was there like 20 years ago or something, but I want to go see the museums and the monuments and all that kind of cool stuff. So, um, so I would legally be in the country. I'm not a citizen, but I have a passport. I go through customs and immigration. But if I was to have a, I don't know, doesn't count. You guys get what they have to say. So, um, so I had a bunch of yeah, I had a bunch of extra vacation days. I didn't think I had as many as I did. So, but I have to use them up by the end of the fiscal year. So I'm like, you know what? I'll just go on a trip to DC. Um, so I'm gonna go take a look at it. I'm from DC. It's overrated. The Museum of Black History is nice. I mean, I've been there a long time ago. I'm only gonna go there for 4 days, so I think I'll be able to see um, most of the major stuff. So I might go to Europe again this year at some point, but I I'll have to think about it a bit more. Where I'm actually going to go. The last trip was pretty fantastic. Getting to see Budapest and Prague and Berlin and Dresden. I'm not going to go to the Museum of Black History. I kind of I'll probably go to the zoo and maybe see the pandas. The zoo where I live is not very good. Um, so I kind of want to see some other animals. Also, just like the Lincoln Memorial, I actually have been in the Congress building. Constantine, you're going to Budapest? Okay, that's great. Budapest is amazing. Budapest is a really nice city. Make sure to get some authentic Hungarian goulash while you're there. Hungarian goulash is amazing. Um, oh, they're under renovation, really? Oh, whatever. Okay, so we have some stuff. The Doge got established. I never know if it's supposed to be Doge, Doge, or Doge. I'm never really sure. Yeah, I want to go to the art museums. Like, there's a lot of cool stuff in DC. Like, yeah, there's the art museum. The National Portrait Gallery is really nice. The Natural History Museum is really nice. Air and Space Museum's cool. I'll probably go to the federal law enforcement one is cool because they have like I remember a whole bunch of stuff from serial killers. There's a lot of cool stuff to see there. So I know it's pronounced Doge, probably like the Venetian Duke, but I kind of like saying Doge. Let's see here. Nominations. keeping Americans safe in tradition, the Iron Dome. For okay, so we have some more stuff. We have the so we're gonna have some people who. When will you take a trip to the Wailing Wall? I'm not gonna lie, I'd like to go to Israel at some point. I mean, it's dangerous at the moment, and I'm afraid that the Mossad would get me for things I've said about Israel and the Shlomos. But I mean, there's a lot of stuff to see in Israel. I kind of want to like go on a pilgrimage and see like where Jesus was crucified and just all the events of the Bible and just all the there's so much history there and there's just so many like cool stuff that you can see in Israel. Um so I'd like to go see that. Uh where else do I want to go? I do want to go to Japan at some point. I really want to see Kyoto. Let me see here. Kyoto just looks like absolutely I'd like to see Kyoto. It just looks like such a beautiful city. Sorry, I know we're getting sidetracked, but I'd like to go there. And just some of the other places in Japan. Um I think would be really neat. Going to Hokkaido would actually be cool. Hokkaido would be like a cool place to go camping or like hiking or stuff like that. It would be a neat place. Yeah. Also seeing the Nara deer would be pretty cool. Like petting the deer would be kind of neat. Um, so yeah, going to Japan would be nice. I also want to go to Istanbul at some point because there's a lot of cool stuff to see at Istanbul. The thing I learned recently about uh Istanbul is that the whole city is just covered in cats. Um and they're treated kind of like communal pets. So the people of Istanbul feed the cats. The cats are all apparently really friendly, like they'll just jump in your lap and stuff. I think that would be really cool um to see that. We have deer at home. Well, the Nara deer are like friendly deer, like you can pet them. But there's a lot of beautiful stuff um, in Japan. Also, just a lot of the castles and things like that. I do like I like Japanese castles quite a bit. It's my favorite castles other than European ones. Uh, it's just such a neat design how they're built. Anyways, sorry, that's a complete side note from where we what we were talking about. Uh, let's see here. You know what? Let's take a side trip. We're gonna look at some cats. We'll get back to it in a second. Uh, so let's see here. Why are they showing these people? I want to see more cats. So yeah, they're just everywhere. Here we go. So, so they aren't as much of an environmental problem because cats are native to Turkey. Like that's I think the part of the that's one of the places in the world they're from, so it's not as big a deal. So. So they're not really feral cats, they're more stray. So I think the difference is that a stray cat is a cat that is a socialized but isn't owned by anyone. Let's see here. Whereas a feral cat is completely wild. Yeah, apparently they'll just come up to you and like sit in your lap and stuff. This is apparently a very common thing in Muslim countries. Because Muhammad liked cats. Cats are considered ritually clean. So they're allowed to go into mosques and stuff like that, even. So, we're gonna take a. I don't know if people have seen this, but we'll get back to the executive orders in a minute. This is kind of a funny video. There's a mom praying, and this guy just cat just jumped up on him. Yeah, because cats are allowed inside mosques. So, oh, it's such a cat thing. Let's see here. Trying to find. There's like cat feeding machines in Istanbul. Um, Trying to find them. Yes, there's cat feeding machines. Yeah, so you just have those throughout the city, and you can put in some money, and it'll dispense some food for the cats. So I think some of them are also a recycling thing. So yeah. Anyways, you need to go to Neko Island while in Japan. Yeah, like it's interesting because apparently they're like all very well socialized, so they won't hiss at you. Like they'll come up to you. Um, Anyways, that's we're off topic, but it's your moment of Zen, I guess. America's golden age. Let's see. Oh no, there's some anti-Semitism stuff. Okay, we're just gonna ignore that because we're winning. Okay, let's see here. Protecting children from chemical and surgical mutilation. So, halal, yeah, Mohammed. So there's a legend that Mohammed owned a cat. I think its name was Muzzy. And so one of Mohammed's best friends, was called the father of the kitten. So cats are sacred animals in Islam. Anyways, I just figured I'd share that because I thought that was really cool. That's something I never heard about. I had never heard about that in Istanbul. But that is a pretty neat thing. So there's stuff to prevent uh, transition of children, ending reliance on junk science. So that stuff is all good. Defunding chemical and surgical mutilation of children. Let's see, additional directives. So, bunch of stuff like that to protect children. We have the removal of critical race theory from schools. We have getting rid of DEI initiatives and affirmative action in the armed forces. This is all good stuff. And things like that. So lots of good stuff, I think. I think there's been a lot of winning in the first couple weeks of the Trump presidency, and I'm just trying to be optimistic because, like, a lot of the time, there isn't a lot to be happy about. Um, so you know what? We'll end this with another moment of zen. I'm looking at cute animals. I want to look at some more. Let's look at some manta rays. So yeah, one of my favorite. Let's look at a couple of my favorite animals. I love manta rays. Manta rays are such cool animals. Um, like how high they can jump, how big they are. I don't know. I just find them really fascinating creatures. They're cartilaginous fish that are related to sharks. Closely related to sharks, but yeah, they're just. Let's see if I can find a picture of one. That shows off just how big there are. It's just such an. Apparently, they're one of the smartest fish as well. I'm just having trouble finding like a good video of one. Okay, here we go. Yeah. Let's see here. Just seeing if there's like a proper size comparison for how big these things are. Yeah, look how big it is. There's a good size comparison for how big manta rays are. It's interesting because the manta ray Pokemon is the manta ray Pokemon is a flying water type, which is kind of cool. Let's look at some of my other favorite creatures. Shad, aquarium, beluga whales. So whenever I go to Chicago, I think my favorite thing to do there is to see the whales, because they have beluga whales there, and I love beluga whales. I don't know. I just find them adorable. They just look so friendly. I mean, look at that face. Look at it. It's adorable. I was debating at one point having a beluga as my avatar. I don't know. I just think they're cool animals. Let's see. Look at them all. Wow. What majestic creatures. You know, a cool thing, an interesting thing about rats is that you can keep male rats together, which is very unusual for most animals. Actually, what else is cool is so cheetahs are actually not panthers. Cheetahs are actually small cats, so they can purr. So that's what a cheetah purring sounds like.
That's some smoothie, mate.
Yeah, they're panthers. They aren't panthers. They're small cats. So they make small cat noises. Have people seen the beaver? Uh so someone adopted a beaver as a pet. So the beaver started just building a dam out of just random stuff it found. It just started grabbing stuff and making a dam out of it. Beavers are really cool. So one of the cool things about beavers is because of the way their lodge works, how it's a their lodge is above water, but to get to it you have to dive underwater. So that means any creature that's fully aquatic, like a fish or something, can't get at them because they're technically not in the water, but anything that can't swim as well as them can't get in. So they're very safe in the water where they are. But they just seem to have that this natural thing. Has anyone here played Timberborn? Timberborn's kind of a cool game. It's like a building game with like intelligent beavers, and you build all this stuff like out of wood, which is pretty cool. Yeah, beavers. One of the main reasons that Canada was founded. How do they stop the water though? It's above water. No, no, like no, it's an air pocket basically is what their lodge is. Um, so yeah, one of the main reasons that Canada was founded is because of beavers, because of how valuable beaver pelts were. Um, yeah, so they're one of my favorite. Beavers are pretty cool. I like beavers. Let me think. What are my other favorite animals? Magpies. Magpies are really cool. Let's see here. I'm just trying to find a video of some. So magpies are corvid in the same family as ravens and crows. I just like their I just think they have cool coloration. Let's see, training wild magpies. But they're very intelligent. They're a cool animal. Oh, is this a talking magpie?
Oh.
Actually, it's interesting because ravens I find actually talk more coherently than parrots do.
Here. Come on. Come on. Come on. Good boy.
I just find they sound a lot more like
Are you all right?
What's the matter? What's the matter, Mum?
Treasure. Say, are you all right?
What's the matter?
To make some mischief, are you?
Not going up there causing trouble.
Oh, there. Good girl, and again. Go on then. Sing for us.
Up here.
Go on.
What's the matter? What's the matter, Mum?
I'm looking for treasure, I've told you.
like I find the ravens like imitate the accent a lot better. So to end this stream off, we're gonna take a look at the one of the coolest animals on earth, the black-throat monitor.
And there's Big Boy and Dave doing what they do best. Lounging around, watching TV.
It's not what I do best.
Big Boy's sleeping. Look, he's sleeping.
Is he?
Oh, you woke him up. Look at his hand.
So yeah, so black-throat monitors are just the incredibly chill giant monitor lizard. Let's see here. I can find some other photos of them. I'll just take a look at Clint, because Clint did one. Yeah, so I don't know. I just think it looks black-throat monitors just look like dinosaurs, like more than just about anything else. But yeah, they're actually very friendly. I mean, look at that thing. They're also very intelligent because they're monitor lizards. Monitor lizards are very intelligent. So they're cool. Tegus are also cool. By the way, if you're not subscribed to Clint's Reptiles, what are you doing with your life? It's like it's probably my favorite channel on YouTube. Tegus are really cool. Tegus look like Pokemon. They also just have the massive tail tongue. It's interesting. So Tegus are from South America. So they are not related to monitor lizards, but they fulfill a similar ecological niche to be like the giant reptile. So people like them because they're very friendly and you can train them and stuff. But yeah. They're cool animals. Also, they got the tongue is pretty neat. I think there's only a couple. I think there's only 2 or 3 reptiles who can generate their own heat. Tegus are one, and I think certain species of snake can. So, let's see here. Is there any other animals I wanted to take a look at? Tegus have kind of these big jowls because for when they fight with other tegus. I'm trying to remember if there's some other cool animals. Let's see if I can find a video of the ballistic snake. The ballistic snake is really cool. I love animals. To me, animals are kind of like the beauty of nature is one of the things that kind of reinforces my faith. Is just all the incredible things in the world. So, yeah, the flying snake is pretty cool. You know what? We'll do one more. Were you aware that hippos are extremely fast animals? Hippos are actually like extremely quick. Look at that guy go. You don't want to screw with a hippo. They're actually very good at sprinting. Or no, that doesn't look real. No, that's not real. Oh, let's see if I can find a... Yeah. Like, can you imagine that thing coming at you? I don't know. They're massive creatures, but you would not expect something that big to be that fast, but apparently their legs are very good for sprinting. Actually, cool thing about rhinos. Okay, sorry, we'll do one more. I'm sorry, I love animals. Animals are just cool. So rhino horns are actually not ivory. Um Rhino horns are keratin. They're similar, they're basically the same as your nails. So what they do in Africa is they dehorn the rhinos. So they will cut off the rhino's horns so poachers won't stab them. So you can do that because it's basically a nail. So yeah, so you can go and cut it off, and it will not hurt the rhino. Yeah, see, they're doing it with a chainsaw. Because like I said, it's inert. Okay, sorry, we'll do one more. It's another cool video. So eagles, we're seeing, or no, we'll do two more. We're gonna do the eagle throwing the goat off the cliff, and then we're gonna do mountain goats climbing. So we'll do that. Probably can't see it very well. Yeah, so the eagle grabs the goat and drags it off the cliff, so it falls to its death. So mountain goats are amazing animals. They can climb basically sheer cliffs. Let's see. Yeah, like this, the goat can just climb up with almost no trouble. Let me see here. Yeah, here we go. Goats climbing the... I mean, look at it. Literally, basically, well, almost a 90-degree angle. And they're able to just walk up. This one's really impressive too. That's a goat. Look at that. Look at them. They're climbing up a brick wall. This is such cool animals. Just just amazing creatures that we share the world with. And they're so chill, like they just don't, they have no fear. They're just able to do it. With like no effort. Anyways, thank you everybody for coming. I hope you enjoyed the Trump part of the stream and the animal part of the stream. I just wanted to give you that moment of zen at the end. So God bless everybody and have